Hey, what's up? It's me, Awesome Alley.
And I'm Raisa, and welcome back to another episode of Be in the Conversation series. Whoop whoop. Today we are going to be talking about the harsh realities of global healthcare from a Gen Z perspective, because today we are going to be having a conversation with one of our authors, Vonara.
Woo!
Hey Vonara, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
We're doing really well. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here on our show. And thank you to our audience. If you are here, Vonara, you're a student, a university student. What are you studying? Let's just start off with that.
I am studying neuroscience. So I'm in life science right now at Queen's University, and I'm hoping to specialize in neuroscience.
Amazing. So you have an expert with you today. To our audience, make sure you like, comment, and share, and also ask Vonara a lot of questions because she's got it all. So Vonara, on our show, we always started off with one question, and that is, who are you and what do you do?
All right. So like you said, my name is Vonara. I'm 19 years old, and I'm going into my third year of university. So I guess you could say I'm a full-time student at the moment. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up for now. But hopefully I'm hoping to pursue a career in neuroscience in the future.
Amazing.
Okay.
In three sentences or less, could you tell us what your chapter is about?
And what's the title?
Yes.
For sure. So the title of my chapter is The Harsh Realities of Global Healthcare. And essentially, let's hope this is 3 sentences. Essentially, I explore the multiple perspectives of global healthcare worldwide. So I look at different cultures, ethnicities, different like accessibilities and stuff like that. So it's less of an opinion piece and more of like an informative and more like trying to open your mind and open your eyes to different perspectives so you have a better understanding of healthcare.
Okay, I love that. We actually have a few comments. Latifa says hi, and BB says, love the new haircut, Ali.
Thank you.
He had like a mop on his head. Just kidding. It was very nice.
She's not wrong.
So one thing you mentioned in your chapter, in as what you were saying in your sentences, is the world having adequate healthcare. What does that mean? And what does it look like in your perspective?
For sure. So for me, adequate implies good enough almost. Just above average, just good enough, gets the job done. It is a good system. It's not fantastic, but it's very hard to have a globally fantastic healthcare system. So I just wanted good enough. That's it. And that's one of the first things I actually ask the readers is, what is adequate healthcare? And then I go into saying how no one's going to agree on what their idea of good enough is. Because of our upbringings, because of our cultures, and we're all snowflakes in the sense of like we're all very unique. I know that's probably the wrong word, but I meant it more in the unique sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all very different people, and how we were raised and our environment and our surroundings greatly impacts our thinking.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I wanted to explore just that concept of what's good enough for me isn't going to be good enough for someone else or my neighbor, and it's not going to be good enough. It's not going to be the same thing that's for someone in a totally different country who may not want prescriptive medications. They might actually want something else.
So it's kind of adequate healthcare varies between different countries, different cultures. Interesting that we're talking about cultures. Actually, today I was watching a video on a YouTube channel called The Wire, and there was actually an FBI agent breaking down like physical attributes and stuff of people, not attributes, but gestures and stuff, and how it varies between different cultures. Handshake, how close you actually talk to people varies on the person and the culture. So it's interesting that we're talking about that today. So do you find that, is there any country currently that you think has good adequate adequate healthcare for everyone in their country?
Yeah. Like I said before, it's super hard to define. So this answer is going to be more of an opinion. And for me personally, I think places like Denmark or Sweden or even France seem to be doing a pretty good job. And I will admit, I think Canada is doing a really good job as well. So I would say definitely like Denmark or Sweden, just in terms of how they handle situations, like the Netherlands, New Zealand, and stuff like that. They seem to have a good grip on things because they actually take everything into account. They don't look at healthcare as its own separate entity. They look at how it's impacted by the economy, the government, people's needs, the changing world, and stuff like that. So I think they are able to look at all perspectives at once before putting forth a plan.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. Some people prefer places that have more of like a natural remedy route. And that is just as important and valid as anything else. So for them, the perfect healthcare system might be in countries that promote that type of healthcare.
Yeah, and you know what? I really love how you're talking about looking at it from all perspectives in terms of how does the healthcare affect the economy? What are we actually investing in? And are there natural remedies that do work? So BB actually says natural remedies has its perfect solution too. And you are so right because Vonara, I remember the first few times we spoke and kind of spoke about your chapter, you were telling me about how in your heritage and what your parents would kind of show you. I wanted to try this one. In your culture where you would, if you had a headache, instead of taking an Advil, you'd wrap a scarf like around your head and like that would take away the headache. And I just kind of love that because, you know, you're finding different holistic ways to do that. So, you know, what's your take on like natural remedies? Do you have any? Do you practice any as well?
For sure. So just to clarify, that actually wasn't my parents who did that. That was no, that's okay. That was from the other interview I was doing with DJ Mary, and it was her grandfather who did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's just as lovely. Still so true. I've always wanted to try it too. Ever since she told me, I was like, that is awesome. So she talks about it a little more on that interview. But for me personally, my father has these like herbal oils that he'd do. So if you sprain your ankle, or even if my dog injured himself, sometimes the first thing would be to put the oil on and wrap it with prayers, and you'll feel better. I don't know how it works. I don't even understand why it works. But I used to hate it because it smells bad a little bit. But I'd wake up in the morning and it feels great. And so when I was living by myself in res in first year, I injured my toe during a soccer game. And I didn't even reach for anything but that oil and the wrap. And it's bad, but I don't pray as much as I should, if at all. But I did the whole 9 yards. I did everything my father did. I put on the prayers, I wrapped it, I left it, and by the morning it actually got significantly better. Well, I just don't question it too much. But same thing with like sleeping pills. Like some people opt for the teas, and some people will like do warm milk and cardamom, or like those sleepy time teas, and other people will go for pills that will just knock them out for the night.
Yeah, we're reaching for that like melatonin and other stuff like that to help relax them. And that, now that you bring that up, there's actually a lot of sleeping, like Western medicine, like you said, like melatonin, and then you have like NyQuil, ZQuil, all those different things that help people sleep and give them some sort of ease. I'm curious, where do you think there's a fine line between natural medicine and like spirituality? So you said like they would pray and stuff, and then Western medicine where it's just a pill, or do you think that like the herbal stuff themselves, herbs, were doing it?
I think it's a bit of both. And I'll clarify on that because it is proven that in a lot of herbs that there are these, even in blueberries, there's antioxidants, and different herbs. There are things that will help your body and heal your body. That's just proven way back when, before Western medicine was even created, when we were just living in forests and stuff like that. Like, we had to use what was in our earth. What earth gave us, that's what we had to use to heal our bodies. And granted, it didn't always work as effectively as Western medicine, but like, I think that for small things like helping calm your nerves and to go to bed, yeah, I do think that teas would work. But there's also that connection between like your mental health and your mental state of mind. Because if you are really negative and really upset, which is totally understandable when you're sick and it's hard to stay positive. But if you have that mindset of like, this isn't going to work, I don't have faith in myself. You don't even have to be religious. You could be an atheist and you could still be like, I don't have faith that this is going to work. This is it for me. I'm done. Like, I'm never going to feel better. Then your brain starts to believe that. And your body starts to believe that. And it's that mindset that's going to either slow down the healing process or make it not happen at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sorry, I just want to give you the spot. You've been saying some really great things, so I wanted to give you the spotlight
there.
on that.
Also, one thing that you do mention in your chapter, Vonara, also is how economics has been impacting the medical field over the last couple of years, especially with doctors, where they're in which has changed from them wanting to help people, and now it's more of like, how much money can I start making in this field, rather than where can I take the extra steps to help my patients. Where do you think how can you think we can start to improve with that, where people are no longer just chasing after the money to go in the field, but actually wanting to go back to helping people? Because I personally think doctors are still there. Most doctors, I would say, are still going out to actually help people, but there are those few. How do you think governments and the medical field can start to remove those ones?
I think that's super tricky, and I want to clarify that I have the utmost respect for doctors, and not all doctors are like this. It's like a very, very small amount, but the fact that they exist is still very disappointing. But for the most part, doctors do have their patient's best interest in mind. But you have to understand that I do consider it like raising your doctors, of like where you were given your medical school education really impacts how you treat patients for the rest of your life. And if you were taught to prescribe them medications, then that's the only thing you're going to know. You're not going to see that as a bad thing. You're going to think, well, this is a surefire way to fix their problem, so why not help my patient? And I think instead of asking the government and hospitals to take on the burden of like making it a fine-tooth comb, I almost put it back onto the patients. And that's what my chapter is really about, is to bring those different perspectives and open your eyes and say, educate yourself. If a doctor prescribes you something, do you actually know what that means? Like, do you actually know what that weird long word that they put for that medication means? Or are you just accepting it, walking to your pharmacy and getting the bottle? So I'm a huge advocate for educating yourselves, no matter how many hours it takes to get through that really boring scientific journal, no matter how frustrating it is. Know what goes into your body. Get to know that. And that way you don't need to weed out the doctors, because you're just weeding out the medication.
Yes.
Right? You're not trying to get rid of the doctors. You're just trying to make sure that the best things go into your body. And no one's responsible for that besides yourself.
And BB says you need to find a doctor who is willing to listen to you when you need his or her help. I agree with you, Vonara, that each doctor has its own specialty. The same as you want to get into neuroscience, you're focusing more on the brain. Or I really like how you talked about the way they're trained, or like raising your doctors, because if you look at a psychologist and a psychiatrist is only there for your mind, but they're not allowed to prescribe you anything. Whereas a psychiatrist, that's where you go for your prescriptions because they have their different specialties. So I really like how you said, again,
Cultures.
yeah, even with cultures, it's about putting your own awareness as to who are you going to find to support you, and does it support your specific needs? And I think that goes back to anything that we do in life. Who is supporting you, and do they support your wants and needs in life? So I really like that. And we actually, Janan, who is also an author, she is giving you heart eyes and a heart.
She's saying good job, love.
And Alex is also here, so hello to you.
Perfect. So now we're going to take a quick
yeah.
break and head over to our speed round questions. Today my sister will be asking them. So these are just two options, 1 and 2, so like Apple or Samsung. You would just tell us which one you prefer more. So, Marissa, take it away.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Starbucks or Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons.
Countryside or the city?
Countryside.
Late night drives or late walks? Lake walks.
Lake walks, probably that.
Okay, TV show or movies?
Movies.
Comics or novels?
Novels.
Organic or GMO?
Oh, organic.
Go back into the past or time travel to the future?
Past.
Interesting, the past. So why would you, just curious, what was your reason for picking going back to the past?
I just naturally assumed it could be like any time zone. So I wasn't talking about my own life in specific. And I think it'd be really, really cool to see like authentic old-timey things and like really get to know, or like anywhere in the past, like be like, oh, how did you heal this person way back when? Or hey, did this actually happen in history? Or like, how cool was this guy? Or was he actually like, I don't know. I think that'd be really cool. And get to know my family way back then too. I'd love to meet them.
That would be
pretty
nice.
Cool. And if there was an era or like time where you could go back, which one would you pick? Like you had one chance to go back. Where are you heading?
Oh, like where or when?
When?
When? I'd say early 1900s probably.
Early 1900s.
Yeah, like 1900 to 1910-ish or 1920.
Interesting. So around the world wars.
I think that'd be so cool.
That is actually a great answer, I think, because that was, I know wars are horrible things that happen, right? But they also push us as a humanity to make different advancements and stuff. Don't support wars.
But
definitely not. But
I mean, in this case, it already happened. So might as well go see how that played out.
But it was interesting to see how, under pressure, how humanity, some people can come together to make, different things. Example with COVID, right? Sorry, our Instagram phone just fell.
Sorry,
but with COVID, how,
oh my God.
We came together to produce the vaccines in enough time for the betterments, right? So yeah, interesting. 1900s to 1920s.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I completely agree with you too, because like we were kind of fighting our own war against the vaccine, right? I mean, not the vaccine, sorry, the virus. And it was incredible to watch every researcher, scientist, and everyone funding each other and making sure that this vaccine gets pushed out. So
well, that actually brings up a very interesting topic with the vaccine and so economics, right? Because that's one thing that we're kind of talking about. I was reading things saying that right now, for the whole world to try to slow down COVID, it would mean like every country can reach a bare minimum, right? But because, the companies, you can purchase them ahead, right? Certain companies have a surplus that they're kind of holding on, but those would get donated once their countries is taken care of. So it's interesting to see how economics can play into the medical world, and how organizations like the UN was actually trying to create an organization, so then if something like this does happen in the future again, they go to them to purchase, so it's an evenly distribution, so everyone can have that adequate healthcare, right? So yeah.
I love it. And if you like what you're hearing right now, I put in the Instagram that just completely fell. Would you rather time travel to the past or the future? And that's to our Facebook viewers as well. If you like what you're hearing, and if you like Vonara as well, go and pre-order her book, Be in the Conversation, Rethinking Humanity's Biggest Questions. You will find her chapter in there, which is the harsh realities of global healthcare. Me and Ali jumped in there to finish up that title.
Help out one another.
Yeah, exactly. So I know as we're almost ending off here, Vonara, we have one question for you. So actually 2 more questions. The first one is, what are some easy ways people can start to get more informed about their medical life and their health in general?
Really get to know, like, don't try to overwhelm yourself by getting to know everything science related, because that can be a lot for anyone. It's a lot for me, and I'm in the field. So don't bother. But just little things like, okay, you're taking birth control. Take a second and read that little thing that no one reads and tosses away. With it. Just read it. Try it. Why not? You get prescribed penicillin for an ear infection. Why not? Why not do a little research? It doesn't matter if you want to take it or not, or like if you're going to take it anyway. Just read it. Get to know what's going into your body. And even little things, like you were mentioning the grocery store, and just picking products that are good for you, like really getting to know, like read the labels, read the ingredients, read if it's organic or not, and what the benefits are of doing that. Just because, like, I was talking to one of my coworkers about this, and the nutritional value in a salad like 2 decades ago is equivalent to the nutritional value of, like, I think it was like 7 salads today.
Wow.
I think it was 7. Don't quote me on that, but it was a lot more than 1. And so we were just talking about how insane it was, because at this point you could be eating really healthy foods, even organic foods, and you should still be taking vitamin supplements with that.
Yep.
So get to know your food products, get to know how, like, the earth, get to know how the nutrients are depleting in the earth and stuff like that.
Interesting. And that actually goes perfectly into our next question, talking about, actually maybe not perfectly, but it's a great lead into our next question, talking about how do you think the power of convenience over time has shifted our North American diet or Western diet?
Right. I think it's taken a turn for the worse in a bit, and it's unfortunate to say, but like, the price of eating out can sometimes be like the price of fast food, for example. It's easier to feed a huge family, and it's more filling, it's quicker, it's more convenient, and you get a lot for your money, as opposed to buying all the ingredients separately and then having to cook it and then clean it and whatnot. And even just like with frozen meals or just cheaper products, like even just simple things like maple syrup, you could get like pure maple syrup that's $10 more than not real maple syrup, but you look at the ingredients, and maple syrup's not even listed on the other maple syrup. But in pure maple syrup, it's like 1 ingredient or 2 ingredients. That's all it is, and it's maple syrup and something else, or just maple syrup. And so no one really, because it's the cheaper option, it's the quicker option, people tend to care less about it. If not, they have no choice but to care less about it because of their financial position. And I honestly don't blame a lot of people for that, because it's really tough, especially with families, to run a household like that. And
Yep.
it's just unfortunate, really.
I like how you said, you made a great point saying that people, it's cheaper now to go out and eat fast food. It's more, it's, you can go grab a bite, and then move on with your day-to-day life, right? But when you cook, you have to take time, do the dishes, then eat, then clean everything, right? And it's interesting to see how in poverty areas, even in North America, the obesity rate tends to go up, and the cholesterol and the diabetes, because they're getting cheaper foods, they're eating cheaper foods because of that budget, and it's an unfortunate. And even now those things are also going up with the power of organics, right, that we were just talking about, because people want free range and stuff. That meat requires more space, more water, and yes, it's more humane, but in return the price is going to go up. I'm for those stuff, by the ways. But yeah, it's interesting to see how economics ends up playing a whole thing into everyone's day-to-day life at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree a little bit. I think just and now, like our current time, the price of fast food is going up even more. Like I remember going to DQ and just having like a couple of ice creams for a family of like 4 or 6. It's racking up to more than $20. But then, like you said, that's the power play of economics, or just communities that don't have access to, like say a Walmart or something, or it's like 3 hours out and the only thing they have is like a McDonald's, and that's what they really feed off. But you know what, that's a whole different,
a whole nother thing,
a whole another conversation. I just want to say thank you, Vonara, for joining us, and we're gonna end it off with our very last question. And that is, if you could have a billboard anywhere in the world, where would it be and what would it say?
Ooh. Okay, I know where it would be, but I don't know if my quote is too long, but it's something that I tell my friends all the time.
Go for it.
It would be at an airport, probably the Toronto Pearson Airport, just so I can make it more of like a worldwide thing, more people see it. And I think it would say, the only person who's with you 24/7 for the rest of your life is you. So love yourself.
Oh, I love
that all the time. I genuinely believe it, because like you can value your parents, you can value your life partner, your children, but realistically, like day to day, 24/7, forever, is just you.
I love that. I love what a beautiful way to really end off today. If you want to get her book, make sure you go to over to Amazon to Be in the Conversation, Rethinking Humanity's Biggest Questions. Thank you to our audience who have joined us today, and thank you to Vonara as well. We cannot wait. July 19th, all the books are coming out. So
make sure to pre-order them right now on Amazon. Like my sister said, $249 Canadian, $199 US. Grab that and it will be amazing. Thank you, Vonara, once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. This was presented by APSO. Awesome people
shaping our world.
Remember, you are awesome,
and you can make the world a better place.
Bye.